Hello, self-starters, problem solvers, creative outside-the-box thinkers, and community builders. We need this like water. We need to gush, flow over dips and dives and thrive. We need patience, unconditional love, that authentic when you're down, we're still around type vibes. And you know that self-love should gush and flow over dips and dives. Thank you, young birds. I apologize. The older bird is here to help you realize your time to blossom, rise, revise, and then climb as high as the sky. Don't be shy. No time to compromise. Your anxious thoughts are just lies. With that poem, I'd like to introduce you to this podcast, specially made for Positive Impact Ventures, helping you find your way through the external funding journey as a new entrepreneur or new nonprofit board member. Bird's Eye Impact, where positive ideas take flight. I am Dr. LaToya Hinton. I'm proudly neurodivergent and happy to spread positivity, optimism, and nourishment to advocates for positive change. I want to bring hope and encouragement to folks who are just starting out with their own business or just starting their journey in nonprofit management. I'm a grant writer, researcher, instructional designer, and data analyst. I'm the perfect matchmaker for strategic partnerships that sustain growth and resilience in trying times. Neuro-affirming financial planning, a coach's perspective, part 1. One sitting. So I have this sort of unrealistic expectation sometimes that's, how everything works. And so it's like a gentle reminder that I shouldn't have that expectation that, within 4 or 5 hours, I complete something that, has 10 or, 10 steps to it or something like that. So I think like for me at least, and I'm only speaking for myself on this, I do think that breaking down tasks into smaller pieces and then spreading them out over time alleviates some of the stress in terms of my own personal finances and that of my business. What would you say as kind of like a follow-up, Katie? Like, do you suggest similar sort of strengths-based tools? Yeah, and accommodations. We should just say what it is. They're accommodations for your clients.
Yeah, so it's super interesting. And I love that you've actually shared your own system before I give the answer, because there isn't a specific answer, but your answer that you gave gives us a really good way of how I would approach it as a coach. So what you've identified there is that you're not particularly scared of opening the documents. That's not a sort of executive function issue around approaching the thing. But what you are noticing is that you struggle to be able to tell how long it's going to take, and then also to overinvest in the amount of time you spend on something. So you've got two things that are helping you to alleviate that. You've got the things that help you break it down and give you reminders, make sure you're not doing it all at once. And then also just personally reminding yourself, do not sit down and do this in an entire 24-hour sprint and then forget to eat or drink anything and then keel over and remember it as a nightmare next time, which makes it more scary.
Absolutely.
Yeah, which is a fantastic system. And as somebody who is in the realm of helping people write grants, I completely expect that this would be something that you have spent a lot of time thinking about. For a lot of the clients that I work with, and some of the people in the workshops as well, they haven't had that moment to be able to really sit down and practically and in short little steps and experiments be able to work out what their relationship with executive function and money is. So for some, they spend a lot, this is one that I have, spending a lot of time over researching if you're going to be trying to find the right bank account, trying to find the right debt consolidation, trying to find the right product online. The amount of times I will spend, I need a new bowl. Now I need to go and learn everything there is to know about crockery. I need to go on all the antique sites and see if I can find some like old Royal Doulton in a very specific design that I've decided is the only one that I'm going to have. And then I don't know, or if it's a food stuff, how much per 100 grams, where is the source, all that sort of stuff. So for me, it's too much detail, and giving myself far too much time, getting overwhelmed and not actually doing the thing that I was meant to be doing in the first place. For some other people, it's just I can't even open that door because all it brings back to me is the time when I was home insecure, for example, those sorts of really deep, or somebody told me that I was too dumb to be able to have my own personal finances, or my parents were really struggling with money or suddenly had highs and lows of money. So I've not learned that money can be something that is sustainable. So the coaching perspective is not that there is a specific answer. It's let's work with you and your brain to work out where the ingredients are that you need and where are the problems that we're trying to get over. And then instead of being like, yeah, definitely this, it's let's have a quick go and see if this one's going to work this week. And then what have we learned? What can we change? What do we keep? So yeah, I wish I could say, oh, it's got to be this one thing. But actually, it's that more introspective approach that I find really helps.
I love that. And I think a couple of the things that are sticking out to me as I'm listening through is that you kind of go through a bit of a diagnostic process with your clients, and you kind of figure out, is this like a trauma that has been experienced in the past that my client is healing from? So, was it a conflict with money from a young age because of, negative experiences with finances, just kind of growing up in an unstable environment? There's so many of us that have experienced that. And I think also this level of changes in the global economy over time have really affected neurodivergent families. I think that's something to also kind of add to, this conversation as like a layer to kind of explain that many of us are very resilient and we're also able to adapt, but there's also this sense of we need certain supports that neurotypical people do not need, as our environments change around us, and opportunities for employment change around us. That's something that is coming up for me as I'm listening to what you're saying, as well as this idea of sometimes like it may not be a trauma that folks have experienced. It might just be that they're in analysis paralysis, I like to call it that, where you just have a ton of different ideas and it's tough to kind of sort through and just choose one to move forward with. It can be a strength. It can make you a powerful researcher, very multifaceted in the way that you search for information. But you do need a way to kind of narrow things down and help you to make an informed decision on how to move forward. And so I think that for those who are listening, and this sounds like very familiar to you, you're not alone. I think that we are like very bright individuals, but I think there is a sense of it's great to have this kind of think tank scenario where you have community care involved in helping you with your decision-making process. And I didn't really think about how coaching plays a huge role in that, but I think when we're isolated sometimes and we go down a spiral of the analysis paralysis, it kind of feels like it's never ending and it's tough to get some direction. So I think that this is a really tangible case where personal finances can really utilize, some direction from a coach. And it seems like, Katie, you do a lot of troubleshooting in terms of like, what is the best solution? What is the best direction for your clients to go in? And I think that that maybe
relieves a little bit of anxiety for folks that say, you know, I don't want to like hand over some very, very personal life challenges to someone.